Hey, this is Johnny Ray for Ray on Sports, coming to you live from the Lancaster studios here in Lancaster, California. In this podcast, I'll talk all things sports in my own opinion. You may agree or you may disagree, but all I do is ask that you listen. So come on in, buckle up, and let's take this ride. Hey, welcome in. Once again. This is Johnny Ray for Ray on Sports, coming to you live from the Lancaster studio here in Lancaster, California. The KJ Ray studios here in Lancaster, California. And I'm back again. Haven't been kind of busy. A lot of things going on. Home wise, everything. Church wise, home wise, family wise. A lot of things are going on. So that's why I haven't had a podcast put out yet. Trying to get through some things, but I'm back. I'm here. And hey, we're almost at 1,000 downloads. Only need, I think, about 45 more. So come on. If you love the podcast, if you enjoy what you're hearing, please download it. You can find it on Apple Music. You can spell it on Spotify. You can even tell your smart speaker to play Ray on Sports. So this week, what are we talking? There's a lot of things going on this week. College basketball tournament is going on. Major League Baseball just started yesterday. Today is actually March 27, 2026. So Major League Baseball started yesterday. The Dodgers played yesterday. I watched a little bit of the game, bits and pieces. I can tell you this. I'm a baseball fan, but I'm not the technical or the all into it baseball fan because I used to play softball when I was younger. But as far as like following it day by day, the day by day stuff, I catch it every once in a while, but I'm not into it like I should be. I wait till like the playoffs and then I really get into it. I really start watching it and really start watching teams go at it. But for now, I just watch it. I watched the Dodgers a lot. Like I said, I watched a little bit of the Dodgers yesterday. Dodgers won 8-2 yesterday over the Arizona Diamondbacks. They had eight runs, 10 hits. Winning pitcher was Yamamoto. ERA of 3.0, but it's the first game of the season. Losing pitcher was Zalin. Arizona had 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. So that was the game yesterday. So Dodgers won 8-2 in an opening day. Everybody's picking the Dodgers to three-peat. We'll see. They won back-to-back championships. They won last year and the year before. They brought back the same squad. I haven't seen any alerts about them changing or bringing any. I think they bring a couple of players in, but like I said, I follow it, but I don't follow it that closely like that, but I should because I am a LA Dodger fan. So maybe I should start following it a little bit more and give you some more insight on it. But until then, let's talk NCAA tournament. How's your bracket doing? I'll wait. How's your bracket going? I'll wait. Well, for those who do the brackets, I do them, I always pick when I do my brackets. I'm not doing it for, any financial gain or anything like that. I just do it for the fun of it, just to see what happens, see how it goes, see how the rankings are against the best in the best experts. And I can tell you right now, they had this new thing where you had your first bracket of 64, and then they redid this other bracket called a Sweet 16 bracket. So it allows you to auto pick it, or you can pick it yourself, or whatever like that. And so I let it do it. And let me see. Yeah, I'm ranked. Get this, guys. I am ranked 1,719,151 place. I have a 68.2% winnings, and I have 80 points. I have the max of 1,100 points. I have like 80 points so far. I'm in like 5 groups, and these are, like I said, these are groups that are on the ESPN. So if there's a Sports Center group, I'm 78,000th place in that. There's a First Take group, I'm 38,000 in that. Hey, in the ESPN radio group, I'm in 58th place. That's pretty good. I didn't realize that. And in the NBA Today group, I'm in 3,251th place. So like I said, this is just, it's for fun. It's nothing no finances are involved in this. I just, I jump in and I play it and see how it is. I used to do it really like I would watch, college basketball religiously, and I would know the teams and know how they play. But I don't have that kind of time right now, so I don't really watch it the way I should watch it. But I do watch like some of the first 64 games. I watched a couple of those. I got a couple of them in. Some of them I went to sleep on because I was watching them. And like I said, my days are busy. My days are busier. Got a lot of things going on in the house. And my main concern is making sure my house is taken care of before any sports, anything like that. And also as well as my church. I make sure my family is taken care of. I make sure my soul is good. I make sure my Christianity is good. That's one thing. Um, I'm also for those who don't know, who didn't know, who listened to the podcast and didn't know, I was finally recognized as the assistant pastor at Grace Place Church of God in Christ in Lancaster, California. Woo woo! Yay! I think I got something for that. Let me see if I got something. Yeah. Thank you very much. So it's been a long time coming. I've been doing assistant pastoring for the past 14 years, 15 years, 14 years. I think I've been assistant pastor for like 14 years, but really, I'm not about the titles. Titles don't matter to me. But my pastor wanted to recognize me, and he recognized a couple other people in our congregation and some, different titles that were elevated to. But for me, it's all about saving souls. It's all about winning souls. So titles can come and go, but it's all about how your heart is and how your soul is. And here's my inspirational tip for the day before we get back into sports. Make sure you act the same way inside your church if you attend church that you act outside your church when people see you on the street. What do you mean, Johnny? Okay, perfect example. You work at a factory. You have a factory uniform on, right? You get off from work. Some people wear their uniform home, because they're proud of where they work. They're proud of what they do. They're proud of the job that they have. And so whether they catch the bus, whether they catch an Uber, whether they drive home, whether they go to the store, anything like that, they have their uniform on. So when they walk in that store or walk into that establishment or walk into that restaurant or wherever they go, people say, hey, you work for so-and-so. Like, yeah, I do. And what do you do there? Oh, I do this, that, and the other. Okay, nice place. And if it's a restaurant or establishment like that, your attitude might compel somebody to either go to that place or not go to that place. You get where I'm going with this? I'm gonna bring to the spiritual in a minute, but so some people, when they work in places like this, they are ashamed of where they work. So I say this from knowing people who used to work and would, as soon as the day was over, they snatch their uniform off and throw on their regular clothes. It's like, I don't want people to know where I work at. I don't even want people to know I work. I don't want them to think that I just make it. I'm a hustler or whatever, whatever the thing was, whatever the whatever it was, what they thought in their mind, or they didn't like their job, or I don't know what it was. I believe one guy had told me, he said, I don't like working here. That's why I take this off as soon as I get out, as soon as I clock out. I'm saying to myself, why are you here? You just here for the money? So you prefer to work at a place making good money, but miserable every day. That's not going to work out for you in the end. You know why? Because you're going to be miserable every day. You come to work, you think you're doing good, and you're miserable every single day you come to work. So how does that work for you? But anyway, I heard that, I saw that. So let me bring it back to the spiritual. When you go to church, when you get out of church, people know who you are. I can give you some scripture behind that. I can't remember the verse right now, but it was a part of the Bible where Jesus was getting led to the cross, or was getting on trial, but with Barabbas. I think I forgot the name of the judge or the king or whatever. But the people said, crucify him. And so they were taken off to be crucified, right? And I'm saying this, Easter Sunday is coming up. I'm sorry, Resurrection Sunday is coming up. Palm Sunday is coming up. Like I said, I don't hide my religion, and I'm not going to hide my religion just because I do my Christianity. I'm sorry, not my religion. Excuse me. I'm not going to hide my Christianity because I do this podcast about sports. I still am saved all the way. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ all the way, 100%, 112%. He is my guide. He is my rock. He is my shield. He is my everything. He helps me do this. He gives me the mind to do this. He gives me the insight to do this. He gives me the ideas that come to my head, all that stuff like that. So he helps me with everything. So I give him glory and I honor him on that. So anyway, so when you go to church and you're in the church and you're giving God glory and you're praising him or whatever you're doing in your church, when you leave your church, can people still see that you are a Christian? Not can they see that you go to church? Can they see that you're a Christian? Can they walk up to you and say, hey, don't you go to so-and-so church? I know you're a Christian. I see you. And when I come back to that, I know I'm like going a little bit, but Peter in the Bible, when Jesus got crucified, people saw Peter and said, hey, ain't you one of the ones? Peter said, nah, that's not me. He said, no, I seen you with him. You was with him. No, that ain't me. And somebody asked him again, hey, ain't you the one? And so I believe the story is right. Peter went, like, he was walking around and he went to this little group of people and he was like standing around. I think it was like a fire or something. And one lady, a little young lady, walked up to him and says, hey, ain't you one of the ones that was with him? No, you must be mistaken. It wasn't me. So you get where I'm coming at? That's what people say when they see you at church and they see you on the street and they ask you that question. Hey, aren't you, or don't you? And if you say, nah, that's not me, that means you're ashamed of where you are. You're ashamed of God. You're denying God to the fullest extent. To the fullest extent, you're denying him. But you want him to bless you, but you want him to save you, you want him to help you. But when somebody asks you, are you saved or like that, you're like, nah. Or you don't say anything at all, or you shy away from the questions about it or anything like that. So that's my inspirational message for today. Be happy and be good in what you're in, whether it's in work, whether it's in church, whatever it is. Be good at it and be proud of it. Don't hide it. Don't say, oh, I don't want nobody to know what I do. Be proud of it, because you never know. You never know who you're helping. Somebody see you work at Starbucks and you come and they see you at the store and you had a good attitude at the store. That might want them to come in Starbucks and get some coffee. I'm like, man, I met this guy that worked at Starbucks, man. Even if they might even go out their way to come to the Starbucks that you work at. Because they said, man, I met you at the store and, we was talking it up, chopping it up, and you was real nice. So I thought I decided to come in here and stop in and get some coffee. And that just made Starbucks some money. And that just made you look better. And it promoted something. And same thing with church. Somebody says, man, I saw how you was going through something, but you still didn't give up. And God's still blessing you and you still look good. And you still praising him and stuff, even though you're going through a lot. So that's the kind of place I want to be at. That's where I want to be at. So how can I get there? And you can say, well, God did this for me. God did that for me. God did this for me. God did that for me. And that's what opens up the door. But, you don't, the glory of God should show all over you without you even saying a word. My pastor said sometime when you walk in the room, the atmosphere should change because you're saved. Okay. So that's that. That's my take. I'm not gonna go too much into that because I can do 45 minutes on that. I can not preach, but I can teach 45 minutes on that on this podcast. But let's get back to sports a little bit. Okay. So NCAA bracket, like I said, I'm like 58th place in the one for ESPN, the ESPN radio one. I'm in 58th place. I didn't even know that. I got 80 points. I'm at 68%. So I'm at 58th place. That's pretty good. I didn't even realize that. Wow, that's pretty cool. Oh, well, he got about 40 people that's got 80 points too. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I have about 35 people that got 80. But I'm in good company. We all got 80. But I like that. So what I did find out about these brackets is, and I found out from watching, listening to ESPN and ESPN radio and my favorite show, Freddie and Harry, that they say that people go in there and make 20 brackets. They just keep making brackets over and over. They pick one. So if you're into it like that, for me, like I said, it's no finances involved. If you're just in there for bragging rights. So you say, how can you make 15, 20 brackets? Easy. You can make one bracket where you pick all the teams to win, all the favorites to win. You can make another bracket where you pick all the underdogs to win. You can pick a third bracket of some picks to, some number one teams to make it, or higher ranked teams to make it, and some with the lower teams to make it. Or you can mix it up, whatever you can do. If you do it, or you can have your ESPN app generate the bracket for you. So there's different ways you can do it. And I think people just do that just for notoriety, just to say I did a bracket, I did 20 brackets or whatever, because there's no financial reward for this bracket. I haven't seen anything that says whoever wins this bracket challenge gets something. I think it's just bragging rights to the next year or whatever like that. But if it was financially something in it, I wouldn't do it because I don't gamble like that. So anyway, so what's going on with the brackets? Let's see what's going on with the brackets. How are we doing? How are we looking so far? Well, my brackets. Well, let me just look at my brackets. So this is mine right now. Okay. So was it yesterday's game? So I picked Arizona over Arkansas and they won 109-88. I picked Purdue over Texas and they won by 2 points. I believe that was a great game. I didn't see it. My other side of my bracket, my South Division, I had picked Iowa over. No, I picked Nebraska over Iowa and they lost. And I picked Houston over Illinois and they lost. So on that side, on the South side, I'm out of it. So I'm out of the bracket challenge because none of my teams from the South is going to make it. On the East side, I got Duke, St. John's, Michigan, and UConn. And I picked Duke and UConn on the East. And I picked in the Midwest, I got Michigan, Alabama, Tennessee, and Iowa. And I picked Michigan and Iowa to come out the Midwest. So we'll see. So I probably can I make it to the finals? If Duke makes it, yes. But yeah, Duke makes it through, and whoever Duke plays and they go to the finals. So it could be Duke against Michigan, and Michigan wins, then I can win bragging rights to that. But as far as randomly picking it and actually getting it right, I don't think there's nobody who really does get it right. But you know what they say that, and it's just a theory of mine. It's just my own theory and my own opinion. Maybe these are computer generated brackets, the ones that get like 100%. Because how you gonna know a team's gonna upset another team, or a player's gonna go out and get hurt, and all of a sudden that team wins? How do you know that before you pick your brackets? So there's no way. So for me, I think it's like a lot of computer generated brackets or AI brackets or whatever, that the ones that are close to that are 100% right all the time. Because like I believe it's the was it the Iowa game? Yeah, like number 9 Iowa beating number 4 Nebraska. Yeah, they can talk about the schematics of it and the technical part of it, about how Iowa beat them with their defense or their offense or their players or whatever like that, and they beat Nebraska. But for a computer, somebody who's picking this and saying, "Yeah, I know Iowa's gonna beat Nebraska," no, you didn't know that. You didn't know that, but that's the way it goes. So that's it for that. Now let's go to the thing I was talking about. I mean, one of the other things, and I got like about 20 more minutes on this podcast. And let's get into the NBA tanking. So I saw a story today on NBA.com that was written by, did it say who was written by? It was reported by Shams Sharon on ESPN. It says NBA presents 3 comprehensive anti-tanking proposals. And if you don't know what tanking is, that's when teams purposely lose so they can get a bigger draft pick, a higher draft pick. Now, the problem with that NBA tanking, is you get the higher draft pick and you're still no good, or you end up losing a player. And one of the issues, I think a couple of concerns was, one of them is Dallas. They start tanking, and people kind of knew it when they traded away Anthony Davis, and they knew Kyrie Irving was to come back this year, and they just going through the motions. All they got is Cooper Flag. Now, at the beginning of the season, when they drafted Cooper Flag, it was like, oh yeah, Cooper Flag. With Cooper Flag and Anthony Davis together, they're gonna be in the playoffs, and they should be one of the teams in the playoffs. Right now, I think Dallas is almost on their way out the playoffs. I don't know if they're in the Are they close? I don't know. I think Dallas. I'm looking at the schedule. Look at the standings right now. Yeah, right now Dallas is mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So at 23-50. So yeah, they Dallas started tanking a while ago, I think, and people said that once they traded Anthony Davis, that's when the tanking started. But they figured, yeah, we ain't going nowhere. So the NBA, what was happening is teams are complaining about that, because now you have a great team, you make it to the finals. Yeah, you got a great team, but now it's harder for you to get a good draft pick because of teams that tank. Even a team that's not as bad can't get a good pick because of these tanking teams. So you got the Sacramento Kings, the Utah Jazz, the Dallas Mavericks, Memphis Grizzlies, New Orleans Pelicans, Washington Wizards, the Brooklyn Nets, the Indiana Pacers. Those teams are all out of the playoffs. And the Washington Wizards, they said, have been tanking for a while. The Brooklyn Nets have been tanking. And like I said, you could tell when teams are starting to tank because they start giving up players and giving up not draft picks, but they give up players for draft picks. So they're trying to better their odds to win next year. So they start, giving away key players and trade them away and says, hey, give me how many draft picks you got? Oh, you got like 3. Okay, if you give me those 2, I'll give you this guy right here. And they what they usually call is they call playoff team and says, I know you need this player to get over that hump. So give me this player and give me your draft picks. No, I'll give you this player and give me your draft picks. Plus you throw in another player or whatever to make the money match. And that's what they do. For some teams it works. Some teams it don't. A lot of teams it don't. I think Washington Wizards have been doing it for a couple of years. It hasn't worked for them. They're still in the bottom of the standings. Utah Jazz did it last year. They're still in the bottom of the standings. The only new teams that are in there that weren't in the playoffs last year was Memphis Grizzlies. They season, they kind of like when they traded away Jaren Jackson. I think that's when they decided to call their season. They're like, well, let's start it over because they knew they wasn't going nowhere, and so that's what they did. And Utah has a bunch of picks. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think they do. But it's another team that did the same thing. But this tanking thing is like it's outrageous because it's not really helping. That's the thing about it. It's not really helping. It's not really making things better for the NBA. It's not making things better for players. It's not making things better for the fans because you're tanking. You get these number 1 picks, and what happens is you get a number 1 pick. 2 to 3 years when his deal is over, he's leaving anyway. Depends on how your team does. So you get a number 1 pick, but your team is horrible. So this number 1 pick trying to do everything and trying to. I guess they're doing it for the money, trying to get butts in the seats, as they say. But you're not going nowhere as a team. And then next year you're going to draft lottery again, and then next year you're going to. So you got to make some. But I think some teams, what they do is they strategic about it. They'll get that number 1 draft pick or whatever it is that 1 year. Then they'll start trading and try to get better players in there, better players around this guy. Like if they know they got a cornerstone player, then they're going to build a team around him. Cleveland did that for a while when they had LeBron. They knew LeBron was a once in a lifetime generational talent. So what they started doing was getting players around him, to match his intensity. And they start getting role players that will fit in to what LeBron was doing. The Lakers do that. They just realized, and everybody just started realizing that it's Luka's team now. So they're trying to build a team around Luka. About the same thing he had in Dallas when they went to the finals that 1 year. I think year before last, yeah. They went to the NBA finals, and Luka had a bunch of role players around him. It was Luka and a bunch of role players because Kyrie Irving had got hurt halfway through the year. So it was just Luka carrying the team. But, they had a system together and everybody, worked together, and Luka knew who he had. So when he came to the Lakers, he went to the front office. Actually, when he came to the Lakers, they called him Rob Pelinka and probably Jeannie Buss and Coach JJ Redick called him, and I believe they had a lunch or something together, and they let him know that this is your team if you want to stay. And we'll do everything in our power to build a championship team around you. And so Luka told him what he needed. I need this kind of player. I need a pick and roll center. I need this. I need some wing players that can kick out and shoot threes. And I'll run offense. Now, people had talked about it because it was him, it's Austin Reeves, and it's LeBron James. And so they said you have 3 ball handling people on the floor. How does that work? So the first part of the season, I can see in coaching, and this is where good coaching come into play. I can see when JJ Redick first got it, he would trying to see how it would work. So he won a couple of possessions, he would let Luka run offense. Next possession, he would let LeBron run offense. Next possession, he would let AR run offense. And Austin Reeves run offense. And that's what he would do to find out how they're going to run, what was successful. But the problem was people were saying your defense sucks. You guys can score, but you guys can't stop nobody. And that's what's going on for a long time. So then after the All-Star break, LeBron went out for a little bit, and Luka and AR was playing, and they were playing well. And LeBron, think Bron looked at that and said, I'm 41. Let me give it over to Luka. Now, mind you, LeBron tried to do the same thing when Anthony Davis was here. He tried to say, I'm gonna pull back and I'm gonna let AD run the team. That's gonna be his team. I'm gonna pull back and I'm gonna be the role player. I'm gonna be the Robin to his Batman. And it didn't work out because AD wasn't Batman. AD was Green Lantern. Okay, sorry, Green Lantern. I didn't mean like that. AD, I love you, but yeah, that's what it was. So now he's got Luka, and now he's noticing that Luka can run the team, and LeBron's seen it. So since he's been back, Luka's been running it, and they've been winning. At first, they were on a 9-game win streak. Yeah, 9-game win streak, and then they end up losing one game. Or 8-game winning streak, and then they lost to the Detroit Pistons, but then they turned around the other day and beat the Indiana Pacers. So whatever LeBron did is working. Whatever he's doing is working. He's like decided to be a role player and let AR and Luka run the team. And when it comes to last shot of the game, he gives it to Luka and let Luka run offense. So let AR do it. And a couple of games that they won, it came down to Luka or AR running the team. LeBron's been, every once in a while he gets in there and he does his thing. But they said right now, LeBron, I heard a couple of people say that LeBron is playing free safety out there, or he's playing linebacker out there, whatever. He's kind of like watching the whole floor and playing defense and, looking at the passing lanes and stuff like that. Because LeBron is a very smart, if you don't know, very smart basketball player. So he's like looking through watching the defense, watching what they're doing. Then when he goes back to a huddle or something, or he tells Luka, hey, this is what they're doing. He's cutting over here and he's cutting that way. So, and he's talking to JJ Redick, and JJ Redick said, yeah. So let's do this. Let's run this. Let's run that. What was very key, one of the games that was key, and I always talk about them because I'm a Laker fan. You see I have my Laker jersey on, my Kobe number 8. One game they were playing the Houston Rockets, and the first half I think Kevin Durant was killing them. So JJ Redick went in the locker room, came back out and says, "This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna double KD and make it somebody else beat us." And they did it. They blitzed him every time they get KD. It frustrated KD. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't figure it out. He ended up not scoring. I don't think he scored. I think he scored maybe 2 or 4 points in that whole second half, and they lost the game. So they played again. So then it's like, well, I think Houston's like, well, we understand. We know what you're doing. You're gonna blitz KD, so we're gonna get you. So they blitzed him again, got the ball off his hand again, and a couple players, but they still didn't have the other player to step up. They didn't have that guy that was that takeover game kind of guy. They had Alfred Şengün. He's okay. He's a center, but he's not really a takeover center like a Jokic or somebody like that. So they tried that, but it didn't work, and the Lakers won again. So that comes to good coaching, and now people are starting to recognize how good of a coach JJ Redick is. The beginning of the season, they were like, nah, he's okay. JJ Redick's okay because he was calling out players. He was saying stuff, and they were like, nah, JJ, you can't be doing it. You can't be calling people out like that. But it worked because people are responding and the players are responding and they're winning. And winning, like I think one player said, win cures everything. When you go on a 9-game winning streak, that cures everything. Any other issues you're having, winning cures everything. And that's where the Lakers are right now. As far as the rest of the NBA, the playoffs are starting right now. As of today, March 27, 2026, here's the standings in the East. Detroit Pistons have locked up the number. I believe they locked up the number 1 spot. I think that's what the X means. Amen. Yeah. Oh no, sorry. They haven't clinched the division yet. They clinched the playoff berth. They're 53-20. Boston Celtics are right behind them, but they're 4.5 games behind them. I don't know if they're going to catch them because I believe it's like maybe 10, 15 games left in the season, maybe 11, if I'm not mistaken. Boston's at 48-24. New York's right behind them, a game behind them at 48-26. Cleveland's in 4th at 45-28. Atlanta's in 5th. Wait a minute. Atlanta's in 5th. If you guys don't remember my last podcast that I had, I made a prediction. I said the way Atlanta's playing, I guarantee you by the time the playoffs start, they're going to hit in the 6th seed. They're going to get the 6th seed. That's what I said. They superseded my prediction. Do you hear me? I predicted 3 weeks ago that the Atlanta Hawks were going to jump. And in that time, 3 weeks ago, they were in the 9th seed. I said they're going to jump from the 9 to the 6th seed and make the playoffs. They're in the 5th seed. They're the 5th seed now. And they've won 3 in a row. They were on a big winning streak, and I think they lost it. Now they're back on another winning streak. So they're in fifth place at 41 and 32, followed by Toronto at 40 and 32. Philly is 40 and 33. Orlando's 39 and 34. Charlotte's 39 and 34. And Miami's in the 10th spot at 39. So you got three teams tied for 8th, 9th, and 10th. So how did that work if they all tied up at the end of the season? It goes by their record against each other, the tiebreaker. So if you play, I think you usually play maybe 3 games against each other in any league, any division. So if Orlando then beats Charlotte and Miami, they dominated them series, they beat them in their series, they won a tiebreaker, then they automatically would get that 8th spot. If Charlotte beat them all, Charlotte would get that 8th spot, or if Miami beat them, no matter what their record ends up as, if they're tied at the end of the season, then it would Miami. If Miami beat Orlando and Charlotte, then Miami would get that 8th spot, and then Charlotte, and then it would be Miami, Orlando, and Charlotte. So it would go by tiebreakers. So that's the East. In the West, you have OKC, who has clinched their division. San Antonio has clinched their division because their OKC is at 57 and 16. San Antonio is right there with them. They're 2 games behind with 55 and 18. The Los Angeles Lakers are in third place, 47 and 26. Denver Nuggets are right behind them at a game and a half behind them, 48 and 28. Minnesota is at 45 and 28. Houston Rockets are 43 and 29. Phoenix Suns are 40 and 33. LA Clippers are in 8th spot, 37 and 33. Portland's in the 9th spot, 37 and 30. 37 and 30. I'm sorry, 37 and 37. And the Golden State Warriors are at 35 and 38. Now, out of all these teams, I think all these teams will make the playoff, the play-in. The Suns, the Clippers, the Trailblazers, and the Warriors, they're going to make the play-in because the next team behind the Warriors is like 10 games back, which is the New Orleans Pelicans, and they're already been eliminated. So there's no way that Golden State's not going to make the playoffs. It's just what they do when they get in there, and they're going to be in the play-in. So I think the play-in is usually 7 versus 8 and 8 versus 9, and then I think 7 versus 10 and 8 versus 9, and the winner of the 7 and 10 playoff series gets the 7th spot, and the winner of the 8 and 9 series plays again. I guess they play the loser of the 7 to 10 team. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's giving teams chances to get into the playoffs. So with that's what the NBA tanking comes in at. They had 3 proposals that they started to try. One of the proposals was they were saying in the first proposal, sources told Shams Charania, 18 teams, the bottom 10 that missed the play-in tournament, and the 8 that qualify for it, all will be part of the draft lottery. The bottom 10 teams will have an equal 8% chance of moving up in the lottery, with the remaining 20% of the odds being split among the 8 play-in teams in descending order from 11 to 18. All 18 spots will be drawn as part of a lottery in that format. So that's the first proposal, that they're saying that even though you're in the bottom half and you don't make the playoffs, they're saying the play-in teams that were in there have a chance to be in the lottery too. So they'll be part of the draft lottery. So when they pull the numbers, and that's what I'm saying, this is trying to stop teams from tanking. So just because you tanked and you have the worst record in the NBA doesn't guarantee you a number 1 spot, because now they're throwing in under this proposal, they're throwing in the play-in teams as well. So a play-in team like I was just talking about, a play-in team like say Golden State Warriors, they could be in a draft lottery with the tanking teams, and they can pull the number 1 pick, and whoever the number 1 is coming out of college, they can go to Golden State, and they're coming to a winning program because you got Steph Curry there, you got Draymond Green there, you still got some pieces in place, and you still got a great coach in Steve Kerr. So he could go there. A number 1 pick could go to Golden State and catapult him right back into the mix of things. Same thing. I was going to say same thing to the East. Yeah, same thing to the East. You got a 76ers, a Magic, a Hornet, and a Miami Heat team. Under this proposal, number 1 draft pick can go to any one of these teams and automatically catapult them into that upper echelon, because teams like the 76ers and the Magic, it was just about players getting hurt. Like 76ers, the main thing that pulled them out the playoffs was Joel Embiid getting hurt, Tyrese Maxey getting hurt, Paul George dealing with his situation. So that's what stopped them from getting the playoffs. So if this proposal is taken and they get in the draft lottery and they get a pick, or they get a number 1 pick, or they get a top 3 pick or top 5 pick, they can add it to the mix of Tyrese Maxey. So you already got Tyrese Maxey, you got VJ Edgecombe, who's been an outstanding rookie, and now you're going to add another piece to that, which gives you a better chance of moving up having a winning record, having a better chance to play in the playoffs, and having a better chance at a championship. So that's that first proposal. Second proposal, sources told that it will be 22 teams, the bottom 10 teams that missed the play-in tournament, the 8 teams, the eight that qualify for it, and the 4 playoff teams that lose in the first round. So remember I was talking about the playoff, how the play-in works, where you they said in the first round of the playoffs. Oh, that's different. So it's saying that the play-in teams, the bottom teams, and then if you're in the playoffs and you lose in the first round, you still got a chance to be in the lottery. That's even better. So a team like, for instance, a team like the Denver Nuggets can play in the playoffs, lose in the first round under this proposal, and be in the draft lottery, and add something to Jokic and Jamal Murray and those guys over there, those boys over there. I like that proposal, because that and what it does is, like they said, it's trying to stop tanking. What it does is it forces other teams to play better, and forces the NBA to be more competitive, because now you can't say I'm tanking, try to get a draft pick. Now you got to play. And now you got to play with what you got. So I kind of like that proposal too. The third proposal is a 5x5 method, which in this one, the same 18 teams from the first concept, the bottom 10 plus the 8 that make it, will be entered into a lottery. The teams with the 5 worst records would then have all the same odds, with them descending from there. And there will be a lottery drawing for each of the top 5 picks in the draft. After those 5 picks are selected, they're going to have another lottery drawing for the remaining 13 teams. If any of those teams with the 5 worst records didn't land one of the top 5 picks in the first round, they will be back in that lottery, in that draft, or another lottery pick. So that's a lot. That's a lot. I like those proposals. There's 3 proposals that's out there. We'll see how the Board of Governors deals with it. I think their meetings in May. Yeah, they're meeting in May to see how to figure that out. But I like that. I like that concept. NBA, I think you got it right this time. Good job. All right, so that's it for this episode of Ray on Sports. My name is Johnny Ray. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, if you missed any of this episode, you can always catch me on Spotify, on Google, but you can also tell your smart speaker to play Ray on Sports. This is Johnny Ray for Ray on Sports. Thank you for taking the ride. Take care. And God bless. Ray on Sports is sponsored by nobody.